Evening, everyone. It's approximately 6:05. We're here for a select board meeting. This meeting is being recorded. As Chair of the Town of Enosburgh Select Board, I find it due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and pursuant to Addendum 6, Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92. This public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location observed or listened contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by video, with additional access offered through telephone. We are using Zoom video conferences for this remote meeting. All members of the select board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if desired, participate in this meeting by clicking the raise your hand option via video or *9 via phone. Once acknowledged, please clearly state your name and then proceed with your question or comment. B, provide public notice of instructions for access in the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using video or telephone, and our posted meeting agenda. Instructions have also been provided on the town website at www.enosburghvermont.org. See, if you are experiencing technical difficulty and are not able to access this meeting with either video or telephone, please call 802-933-4421. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. We will start this meeting by taking roll call. I'm Larry Jarvis, Chair of the Enosburgh Select Board.
Holly Rico, board member.
Bill Rob Toy, board member.
We have Dean Wright and Peter Letourneau. Actually, we got Dean Wright walking in right now. Yep. And we hope to have Peter Letourneau join us tonight also. All right, so the first thing to do is ask if there's any changes to the agenda before we start with the agenda.
I don't have any.
We have some information we need to discuss with the library,
Okay.
that's the-
Yeah, and
some
there,
aesthetics in front of the building.
Okay.
and there is a request to use the rec fields.
So I'll move to make the changes of adding the library discussion and the recreation field discussion to the agenda.
I'll second it.
So Rico made the motion. So Rob Toy seconded the motion. To add those two items to the agenda. Any more discussion? Have none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. It's unanimous ayes. So those items have been added to the agenda. Tonight being the first hour, we're going to try to get our stuff done. If we cannot get it all done, we're going to have to table it until after the joint meeting. It may not. It's starting to get a little crowded here, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get everything in time. So we'll proceed as quickly as possible on each agenda item. First, I'd like to acknowledge any guests that are on. If they have any specific things they need to discuss, and give them a minute to.
So we see the members of the public here, welcome. And so I understand that some of you probably are just here to observe, and then some, I'm not sure if you'd like to comment. So if you'd like to comment, state your name and what you'd like to say. Okay, looks like everybody's in observance. All right, welcome. So we'll continue on with our meeting.
Okay. And so the first item on the agenda is ambulance. And That about personnel.
I think it's a generalized question, but I mean, it is about pay rates, so it probably should go. in.
Yeah, and there's other stuff that's come up.
Okay, so it's based on personnel salary is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll move to go into executive to discuss personnel.
Polly Rico made a motion to go in executive to discuss personnel in the ambulance. Dean Wright seconded that motion. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. So motion's been passed, it's approximately 6:10, we're going into executive session.
So I will make a motion to direct Andrew to act as per executive session regarding salary.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Polly Rico made the motion. Bill Rufford seconded that motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Here, do you have anything?
I'm good.
Anybody against?
What
Say
was the
nay.
The motion was to act as per executive session in regards to salary. To direct Andrew to act as per executive session regarding salary.
That's a pretty ambiguous motion for anybody that wasn't in there.
It's directing the ambulance director to act as per our conversation regarding salary.
Yeah, okay, I guess I got my input.
Yep.
Motion's been passed. Okay, so. Hey, we should probably pick up the discussion about the library. Out of the agenda. They'd like to remove the front shrubs, make room for tables and electric, outside electric outlets.
So they got a grant to install some electrical outlets outside so people can put their plug their computers in to charge them and use the Wi-Fi from outside. So they thought a couple tables and some electrical outlets to make it easier, so not everybody has to be inside, more people using the library. But there's a couple of those, you know, they're half dead or
Yeah.
not so great
There's
looking
some
shrubs,
shrubs.
but it's going to take like a mini to get them out because I'm sure
Mini
they're well
excavator.
rooted.
Right. I think that's a great idea. Like have like outside tables.
Yeah, yeah.
You said there's a grant to support that?
Yeah, I think it was $1,500
Oh, good.
for the electrical part of it, not for the removal of the shrubs. I should add.
So the grant pays for the electrical
Installation,
installation.
yeah.
Right. Okay. And then the removal.
So who would, they'd be outsourcing that or?
Yeah, they would need to, there's not a lot of.
No, I mean, removing the shrub.
Oh, yeah, I guess
Basically,
we
you just
just.
have to cut
like-
it off. And
Oh, yeah.
then you have to dig it out.
Mhm.
So either I'll check or, you know,
Do
I
you,
don't have
do we just put that in their hands that they reach out and find somebody, or would that be in our?
it's ours. Okay, we have to call dig safe and everything because. of
Oh,
the-
right.
So I entertain a motion to do such work.
I'll move.
So Pierre Eternal made the motion. And Dean Wright seconded that motion to allow the library to remove the shrubs, make room for tables, outside tables, and electric outlets. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes. We'll have to get some bids or get that done. Okay, so next on the agenda was request for rec fields usage.
It's in your stack of papers. There's a request in an email form from a student at the high school to hold prom on the rec fields down here at the soccer. I should probably add, if their own school field is not able to host it, then they're asking for help.
so the same request went to the school board to consider use of their soccer fields for prom. And it looks like this request is asking for the rec center field for prom. So I don't know if you wait to hear from the school or make a decision saying if one falls through, then I'm not sure how you'd like to handle that. In order to have, so for schools, in order to have a set number, they're requesting, or I should say, supporting proms being outside, outside venues. So. that's-
Said they would bring in a dance and portalettes and
Those questions I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
part of that usage.
we probably would have to ask them. Or we could ask them over. We have to keep our driveway, we can use that back,
for
but out front needs to be kept clear.
emergency and sheriff and.
Yeah, a standard prom they have to have a sheriff, they have to have that. What was I gonna say?
Where would the liability fall?
So it's just like any place that uses our fields, an outside agency, they have to provide proof of insurance.
And the school, and we always trade with the school each year, like we give them ours, they give us theirs, so if they're at the Opera House, or if they're up here, or if we're over there, then we're covered, we just general liability.
There would be so my feeling as a school board member is that if it's a school sanctioned event, then they're responsible for the people here, the chaperoning and all of that. That's my feeling, is that the town basically is just providing the space.
Okay, so there's the second page, questions from the rec. I think some of it's already been answered.
Yeah,
Bathroom use
exactly.
for that.
Yeah, and that's my concern too, when I originally read this email, was the parking, because emergency services vehicles, it's not ideal by any means. Because kids, they're gonna park everywhere.
And where it's quickest.
Exactly, so again, that might be a stipulation of the event that they have people.
One or two people
cars.
just making sure that
Yeah.
there's nothing.
So they must have a point person.
It looks like there is this girl who sent it, and she's the same one that sent it to the school board. So it looks like it is,
She seems to be a student though, right?
she is, I believe
Student,
she's a
yeah.
student.
And they
yeah.
probably have a.
Yeah, it's a student in the email.
What are those when they're like a teacher,
Committee. Oh,
teachers supervises a group of students, like a grade,
like student council. Class council?
well, like a room mother or something, but I don't know the word I'm looking for, like,
Yeah,
you probably worked with you.
it was.
I just don't know the word.
I'm spacing too. It was a class advisor.
Yeah, there we
There
are.
you go. Mhm.
So according to, is it safe to say that the school turned them down?
Well,
because if you read the last email,
I know, and like I said, the email went to the school board today for the very same request,
today.
asking the board to consider.
What I think they did first was ask the AD instead of the board first.
So, yeah.
So they got to ask on two venues, is what you're saying? Or
They
just-
haven't asked on two venues for the same thing. So I don't know if we wait to hear what the answer is there. Or if we say, yes, only if you can't.
That makes sense.
Right?
Because it is the 22nd, so there's not a lot. of time.
Yeah, we won't meet again, or no, we will meet again once.
Yeah.
Be safer at the school.
Right.
parking's better. Well, the hardest part is power. I mean, that's the next thing. There's no power out in the field.
Right. That's
Unless
why
they get a
the
generator.
school place would be better because they could probably run some big cords from the snack shack.
So we could say, just wait, we want to wait to hear what the school says.
Or we could go through and say tentatively, if the school turns down their request,
Right.
then we will entertain having the event at the recreational field up at the public safety building. I'll make that as a motion. Well, provided they come up with a power source. I mean, if you've got a band and, or, I mean, not a band, we don't have that no more.
Is Little League started already, or?
Little League, but this, I think they're talking soccer field.
And we talking food or I mean.
I have no idea. Like, it sounds like it's just a space.
you got-
Typically, it's just dancing and music.
Yeah. It says
Did
Maybe
it
some
say a time?
No.
It's usually like 8 or 9
Yeah.
till midnight. I'm just.
I'd entertain
I'm
that,
trying to remember
and that way at
that.
least
At least they have a prom.
there's a plan,
right?
yes.
So Pierre made a motion. And somebody write down that worded motion.
I kind of did, provided they have and bring their own power source.
This, provided they don't have a venue, didn't you say?
Another alternative source.
And can't use the school.
Right.
Second it.
Yeah, okay, so Pierre Letourneau made the motion, Dean Wright seconded that motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right. Unanimous approval. For the second option. All right, so. Brings us to executive session again. Discuss bridge number 50, premature general public knowledge, and clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll move to go into executive session.
Paulie Rico made the motion to go in executive.
Can I bring up a point?
Hang on. Phil Rob, the choice second that selection. Any more discussion? Now you may intervene.
What is it, Greg?
So upon review of the open meeting law, any motions made after executive session have to be specific. And what I was trying to bring up a few minutes ago is your motion to alter salaries based on the discussion in executive session was not specific. Salaries are public record, and I would like you to go back and readdress that motion in a specific manner.
There was information specific to a employee that is not public knowledge. And so that's why it was an executive session.
But if a salary change is in effect, that is public record. And the motion was to continue with the salary change as discussed in executive session. So you can at least be specific on what the salary changes are and for who.
There's not a who yet.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
then you can be specific who it applies to.
It's a contract, which is in executive session. We have done our homework. We are covered. So I believe we are entering executive
It's
session.
proposed on a hiring and it's a contractual salary discussion item.
Correct.
Yeah, salary discussions, actual motion to act has to be specific and in public.
Well, that's your,
I literally consulted an expert on this in the last 10 minutes. So you guys don't have to take my word for it. If you want to continue down that rabbit hole and not follow the open meeting law, that's up to you. I'm just giving you the chance to correct the record and do what's right.
So what is it exactly that you're asking us to state the exact number, the salary? Is that it?
If there's a change in salary or wages that you guys have made, the motion that you've made is completely unspecific and only the people in there would know. And then there's no way for the public to hold anybody accountable. So I'm asking for the motion to be specific.
So the motion is to direct the ambulance director to handle the salary for the unknown employee. And that's that. We don't know what it is yet.
You haven't set a salary rate? You didn't talk about an amount?
We talked about a range. So we are entering
So that
session.
should be the
for point in
motion.
time.
That should be in the motion. If you're making a motion to act on a certain range as per your discussion in executive session, that should be in the motion. Otherwise, it's not a legal vote.
We will agree to disagree on this one, Greg.
Okay, or Polly.
Okay. Thank you.
so where are we now? We were,
Taking the vote.
we're in the discussion to go into executive session. And there's no further discussion on that point because this is an earlier point we're reversing our course on. All in favor of going into this executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. It's unanimous ayes, and it's 6:45, and we're going to executive session. All right. So next on the agenda, we're slated to have a joint meeting with the village, Jazin of Enosburgh's trustees. We probably should start inviting them on board.
Yep, Alan, welcome everyone. Let's see. Hi Heather, hi Sam, Jonathan. Leonard, I see you. Hi Leonard. And Cindy, I see Cindy. Hi Cindy.
Hi.
Is that everybody? Did I get everyone?
Yep, that's everyone. You may not be aware, Jason LaRose resigned. His last meeting was last Tuesday as the Board of Trustees. So we do have all of our Board of Trustee members here.
Well, if he watches, Jason, thank you for participating in local government. Okay,
We probably should ask that same question, we asked beginning of our first slated part of the agenda, if there's any members of the public that are on that right now would like to add something that they want to talk about or discuss. Or if they just want to listen in. I can't see anything.
so, oh, I do see a hand raised from Ben, so I'm gonna let Ben, you can go ahead and speak.
Well, I just wanted to, at some point when it's appropriate, make a brief statement about the Vital Village program.
Well, this is the time for public comment, so we're gonna keep it to about a minute.
Okay,
So if you- Yeah,
I just want to say that I'm here representing Main Street business and property owners to say that we are in opposition to the Vital Village program, that we think it's a generic reaction to sprawl from St. Albans that they're trying to apply here. There are no members of the Enosburgh Main Street business community associated with this in any way. And I just want to make sure that you guys know when you're hearing from Jim Cameron, Susie Hole Parent, and Sandy Ferlin, that this has nothing, that no members of the Main Street business community support this. And I just want to put that out. So thank you.
thank you.
You Ben?
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to chime in for their 1 minute? Okay. Okay, we're gonna continue. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna continue with the agenda. There's basically 4 topics we're gonna be discussing. And the first topic we're discussing is on the policing, Sheriff Lonsby, and we've invited him in tonight. We wanted to allow the trustees input on discussions we've had. Knowing our new contract period starts July 1st, and we're kind of restructuring and level fund, and we would have to go down to 5 days coverage instead of the 7 days, maintain their where we were economically. And so the discussion we've had up to this point is we kind of like the similar days that Richford's going to be doing, so they'll be in the general area at the same time. And I think that was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. And Sheriff Lonsby has also discussed with us that there's flexibility in that, you know, the times if we need to move a certain Sunday, or, you know, during the year, we can go back and forth. And we felt the trustees for the village knows what dates are more important for them there. And there was one other concern, or not a concern, a possibility if they wanted some more coverage. We elected not to take the SRO. Usually in the summer months, he comes on board. We elected not to take his summer month coverages, but it is available if the village feels that they could utilize that position. I think, I don't know, Sheriff Lonsby on?
He is.
Yeah.
Hello, Roger, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. I thought I saw someone else pop up there, was gonna say something, but no, I'm here. All right,
So, yeah, go ahead.
So if you could just recap, what kind of what we discussed and what is out there, and then we can have the trustees ask questions back and forth with our board and you and see.
Yep.
Around
I think you summed it up pretty well. Both you and Richford have decided on a 5-day-a-week contract. We're gonna try to mirror those contracts as best we can. Simply one deputy will back up the other deputy. If Richford needs a backup, the Enosburgh deputy will slide that way and vice versa. Should Enosburgh need a backup, that will slide. We certainly, as much as we partner with the Vermont State Police, they're very shorthanded. They've got a lot of deployments. They've got some vacancies. There's not enough of us out there, so we have to kind of plan our contracts to where they're smart to where we can, utilize both deputies that are working in proximity. So Richford has asked us, Tuesday through Saturday for the most part. When we can do that, right now it's a little difficult. They're 5 days already and you guys are still 7 days. So it's a little difficult to match up those 5 days just for scheduling purposes when somebody's 2 days falls on the different days that say the Enosburgh is working. But that's gonna hopefully, match itself up as when July starts. But aside from that, aggressive motor vehicle work is what I asked a lot of my guys to do. They are busy with motor vehicle work. We continue to get complaints on motor vehicles throughout the county. It's not just Enosburgh or Richford. We get them everywhere: Georgia, Fairfax, Sheldon. Just people drive fast. And tailgate, that's another big one. I've gotten a couple of them on tailgating today. And I put that out to my patrol commanders and I let them know, where they need to be. I know most recently Orchard Street was having an issue. Not only did we assign the deputy that was working Enosburgh there in the evening, but we also had an opportunity to use governor's highway safety funds. And you might have seen like a Williston police officer, a Swanton police officer, and 2 deputies working under governor's highway safety. That was of no cost to you guys. Those are funds, federal funds that we get, that we put them in areas where we get calls for service, such as Orchard Street, or in this case, it was Enosburgh. Then they work their way towards Richford, and then they work their way back. Pretty successful. That's all motor vehicle work. That's all aggressive, stopping cars and for the most part, issuing tickets, checking seat belts, and all that stuff that goes along with it. So that's where we are, and I provide a monthly report. I've been including Jonathan here lately in the reports. I hadn't done that earlier. Kind of an oversight, I guess, on my part, but we'll certainly continue to do that in the future.
It looks like Cindy has a question.
Well, it's more of a comment, and we want to thank the sheriff for doing his job. And I think the reason we wanted to talk to you about this is we're a little disappointed you didn't give us a heads up that you were cutting the days, specifically after we had a meeting where we wanted more days and we were ready to help cover costs for that.
Well, we aren't necessarily cutting days. It was, I think, the rise in budget. My predecessor didn't stay up with a realistic increase, if you will. And we needed to get where we need to be. We're still like the best priced law enforcement, certainly in the county and in any of the adjoining counties as well, for that matter. Our rates right now are lower than most of the other sheriffs that are in the adjoining counties.
I'm sorry, I should have clarified.
They were considerably higher than where they were a bit ago.
I should have clarified. We were a little disappointed with the select board not giving us a heads up, not you.
Oh, well, I always have a part in that too, I'm sure. I didn't let them know probably it's coming up either.
I was gonna say, I thought we had
That's it.
that conversation meeting.
We did have that conversation at town meeting, and we did state that we hadn't signed anything at that time yet, and it was up to July 1st. Was actually the beginning of the new contract.
Right, that's when we found out that you were cutting them, was during town meeting. I'm just saying it would have been nice to have a heads up.
Yeah,
Well, Cindy, you certainly have that heads up now, because what I did for the town of Enosburg and all the town contracts, they're a 3-year contract if you look at them. So therefore, like next year, you can plan on that already in the following year as well. We were going year
Thank
to
you.
year simply because when I first took over, there were a lot of instabilities within the county budgets that we were getting. We were cut one year by 27,000 and the next year by almost 12,000. And sheriff departments have to earn their own revenue. You have to make your revenue. Although, there's no budgets per se that we have.
Right.
And what the budget we did get from the county for an office and admin help, as some insurances got slashed. Everybody's tightening their belt. We know that. We've certainly tightened ours. That's how come we've kept our prices to where we think we can retain our deputies, because we've got some deputies, that are getting some time on. And this is when they start to question, is like, gee, I could go to another agency, because with 5 years on or 7 years on, those agencies are paying this much. So we kind of had to build our payroll, if you will, to be able to match some of those, to be able to retain once we get a seasoned qualified deputy.
Thank you.
another point too, I'd like to add to Sheriff Losby that we did discuss, is a 3-year contract, but we did discuss the 2 days of the week, we're gonna have to rely on the state police for coverage. But we said going forward, if that is not gonna work, it's gonna be like a trial period, if it's not gonna work, we may, and he's flexible adding back day coverage at a cost. Was that correct, Sheriff?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and we'll just continue to communicate that, as well as any hot spots that we can, initially hit hard and, and clean up so they don't become summer-long problems.
So Larry, was your question tonight for the village on what days of the week we would prefer?
But yeah, we wanted to include, I know he's working with, it's easier for him when he works with the Richford days, which is Tuesday through Saturday. But we're not sure what the village needs are. Is a Sunday a bigger day, or, there's a different day? And Sheriff Lonsby did say that he'd be flexible on moving. It's not always gonna be the same days. If there's certain days of the week that seem to be hot, he can substitute a day of the week to that particular day that didn't have the coverage.
And so if the school resource officer isn't working, then he won't be patrolling. Like if he's not working the school, then he wouldn't be patrolling Enosburgh, correct?
Well, actually, he's currently right now, that would be correct, unless he goes on the night shift to cover Enosburgh. But otherwise, we'll absorb him. Obviously, he's a full-time employee, so we'll have to absorb him in some other contracts that we have.
It sounds like it was on the table that if the village felt like they needed additional coverage, that they could tap into that position, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. He'll be available in the summer if Enosburgh needs him. And Jim is very familiar with Enosburgh. I think he's very comfortable. I think he does a great job with Enosburgh. He's one of those deputies for us that likes to be out of his car walking, on Main Street, is more so than even being in his cruiser, I think. So he's a valuable asset, and if he can use him in Enosburgh, we'll certainly make him available.
So I guess the question, another question on the table would be, does the village want to tap into that position, or is that just something you might want to think about?
Well, I think as Cindy said before, we didn't get a whole lot of a heads up on this, and it was after our budget got approved for the year. So
Right.
Funding is going to be difficult for that because we didn't set any aside because we didn't know that we would need to. But I think going forward, the best thing would be, I guess we're going to see how the summer goes. And it starts in July, right? July 1st is when the changes.
Correct. Yep.
So our budget season would be, January, February of next year. But unless we pull from some other account, there's no money set aside for extra law enforcement. So. Yeah, it'd be like, it'd be difficult. We're just gonna have to see how it works, I guess.
And Roger, do you keep those analytics on hand as far as like, you know, rates of activity on certain nights? Like, are you able to kind of keep that data to figure out where our needs seem to be the heaviest?
Yes, I can. You know, we have a record management system that will tell us, you know, the days of the week, the times of the week and that type of stuff, nature of the calls that we get. You know, we certainly could probably chart those for you. And if, you know, and that's basically what we've done with Richford, you know, in showing them where I thought they would get for 5 days, the biggest bang for their buck, and they were in agreement. They know their town as well as what I do. You know, I know it more on paper and they know it, the actuality, the actual numbers and issues that they have. But even with their contract, we're a little bit flexible and stuff, but we're aware of the numbers. And if those are something you're interested in, we can, you know, do that for you too.
I think so. For me, I don't speak for the board. But for me, I think I'd like to know that way we could tailor it a little bit so that the village and the town both feels, you know, that they're getting what they need. And I would extend the same invitation to the public that was on the meeting, that if, you know, keep track of your own data and see, are there certain nights that, or days that we are noticing some activity that might be supported from the sheriff. That's just some thoughts. Anything else on the sheriff contract? Anything else from you, village?
No, I think we're good. Unless anybody else has any questions, I think Tuesday, you know, obviously the weekends, we're gonna need them, but similar system to what Richford had probably will work Tuesday through Saturday. Are we taking any consideration in for holidays that may fall on a Monday, like Memorial Day, Labor Day?
Yeah, and again, Sam, we could probably do something more along the lines of where it's no cost to you, but more of a governor's highway safety. They always have, like around Memorial Day, some funds available, and they look for us to put together projects that, you know, 3 or 4 days of, you know, grouping associated with a number of other agencies and working in certain areas. And I know we have Enosburgh and Richford in our areas that we have scheduled stuff already. So.
Any more questions for Sheriff? If not, thanks for your time. We'll definitely keep in touch and see how it goes forward. This new system or new days.
Good. Yep, and I look forward to it. And I encourage Jonathan and Billy Joe to continue to give me tips on, you know, where to move our people with any kind of complaints they have in the village or the town. We try to address them quickly. So, thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. Next, it seems to be grants with the recovery money, non-compete discussion.
Okay, yeah, that's the next point is I know I talked to Jonathan a little bit about it there. Just moving forward, he wants to make sure that the village and the town aren't competing for the same grants. Sean is on, yeah. And Sean can probably chime in on this, because he'll probably be the point person for both of us. And, I think the village probably has some questions on this, seeing they're the ones that brought the item up to us.
I think, Larry, actually, you had brought this up and asked for it to be on. You and I had a conversation one afternoon on the telephone, and I think you had suggested this be on there as an item. I think the context of the conversation was that we started talking about the American Recovery Plan, which is the Biden administration's efforts to try and jumpstart a recovery, an economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. The details of the American Recovery Plan are still a little bit murky. It's still being rolled out as to what the guidance and the thresholds for both meeting requirements to apply, and then, how you will apply and to whom. But we're being told details should be coming from our state government soon. We don't know exactly what soon means, but probably within the next couple of months or so, I would expect they'll start rolling that out. And in Larry's and I's conversation, we were just saying, when, once that happens, the town and village should probably, just sort of make sure that if there are projects that we're looking at putting in to that program, that they're not directly competing with each other in some way, if there's a way that we can avoid it. Maybe there isn't. As I said, we don't know a lot about the details of how the American Recovery Plan is going to work exactly. That it's still being rolled out and still being thought about by our state government. But if there are ways to avoid, having a competition between the town and village for the same types of funds, we should try to avoid that when we can. So I think that was it. We just wanted to sort of stick that in everybody's minds and both boards' minds that, it's just something to be aware of, and maybe to be aware of in general when we're looking at grant sources together, because, could be a time where, we're both going after the same grant source, not realizing it, and we've put applications in, and now we're competing against each other for the same thing. And if there's a way to avoid it, it probably would be good. Sometimes maybe there won't be, but it's just something to think about.
For sure. Cindy, I see your hand up.
Well, that's one of the reasons we have Sean, and we are all Enosburgh, so there's no reason there can't be co-applicants for the same grant.
True. I think it would depend on the grant for sure, because for instance, some grants are for downtown centers specifically. And so sometimes there's stipulations, but I completely agree. That is why Sean, one of his jobs is kind of coordinating, right? The grants.
Right.
And so what each other is doing. So yeah, if somehow Sean could be our point person, so that I guess if we are looking to apply for grants, that he be notified so that we're all in the same loop. That's my thoughts. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
Jonathan and I had that, we definitely need to utilize Sean and the point person, so we know we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we know what's going on between the grants. I don't know if Sean wants to add it. I don't see another hand over there too. Is that Sean maybe?
Yeah, Sean has a scene.
Sorry, guys, my hands are full tonight. No, much of what Jonathan said is I'm in agreement with. We're still very much waiting on some additional guidance, just like last fall's COVID relief package on kind of how those funds are going to be divvied up. I'm doing my best to stay on top of that. Seems like every couple days the goal line shifts a little bit, so we're certainly paying attention to what those programs will be, and whether it's through VTrans, ACCD, or HUD, or any of the other programs, we'll pay attention to that. And there certainly is the potential for joint applications. We get creative with how we do those, but depending on the grant, that's an option too. Cindy, I know you mentioned that, but yeah, certainly, I'm here to assist in any way we can, and we'll hopefully take full advantage of the funds that may come available to us.
Sorry to jump in there, Sean. I think exactly if you can somehow keep a thumb on what's out there and see if by doing joint applications makes it more competitive, then definitely that should come before us for sure.
Yeah, certainly for large implementation grants, and infrastructure stuff that may come down. I mean, we're potentially seeing an infrastructure bill passed potentially as well. So some of those larger grants, you know, if there's opportunity for us to joint apply, certainly.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, anything else on that topic before we move on? Okay, great. Town office building after the move to the armory.
Okay, so town office building, after the move to the armory, it's what to do with the building. There's nothing really been decided. Last year when Polly, myself, and Angie went down to testify, Mount Payer, to get the armory. That question was asked of us, and being a municipal building, it can't be utilized for anything other than municipal. It can't be built into an apartment building. But there was an option that we did find out that it could be tore down if we wanted to expose the library and possibly put a parking lot there. That was just a random discussion that we had that day. That was just one idea. But until we actually physically move out of that building, you know, we haven't talked, and we definitely want to ask the public and try to find out what the best way to utilize or not utilize that building for the village would be. But keep in mind, that's an expensive building, and some funds that were supposed to get utilized in that building last year because of COVID got pushed down the line, and we were fortunate to get the armory, and we were actually using that fund for that one. So right now, that building was supposed to have all new windows, there's roof problems, there's mold in there, there's definitely some issues with that building, but we're not making that decision as a select board. We want the public input on that going forward at that, when we do get to that point. That's just a summary of what I have.
Cindy, I see your hand raised.
My vote is for a municipal parking lot.
I know, so parking seems to be a hot topic. these
Right,
days.
it's, you know, that's the one thing we talked about. You got a beautiful library right there, and, you know, Craig Snow used to own that hair salon on the other side. He's like, everybody's parking for the library in my parking lot. You know, it's like, you know, he was good enough to let people use it and stuff, but it's not really the proper thing to be doing. And I mean, you got a beautiful library that's kind of tucked behind these other buildings, but that's just a thought going forward. And definitely, you know, we want the public's input, and especially the trustees too, because I think we have joint names on the building.
Right.
I think I would have to agree with that. Obviously, parking on Main Street is very valuable. And I think just once we get that building out of the way, people will see the library, and hopefully it'll, you know, drum up some more business there.
Okay, and again, like as Larry said, you know, we haven't moved into the armory, so no decisions, I repeat, no decisions have been made on that building as of this moment.
You guys have a timeline on when you would move into the armory?
Well, we were hoping by June, but it's so, the septic, they just wrapped up that whole septic job that they were doing. I think they were just did the final work last week, I think. So now that that's done, we have some environmental testing that needs to get done, and then we should be ready to move forward. We have gone in and basically made just a basic plan of like what windows we want to replace, what floors need to be replaced. So we've made a list as far as that goes. So the next would be to actually get that work done. So we were hoping by June, but you know how that goes. And with building materials, boy, so we'll see, fingers crossed.
So here's another thing, if any of you know a good cut concrete blocks out and stuff and put a vault door in. That there's the location of this vault doesn't really have the proper access that we want. There's a nice room beside the vault, but there's no door in there, so you have to kind of go around to the other side. And we'd like to be able to put a door there. I think there's one other place we need to cut out.
We do. we
Oh,
need
for
to-
the town clerk's
Yeah.
window there where, you know, the public can come to and stuff. Right now, we're envisioning is a brick or brick or not brick,
Right.
cinder blocks. And if you cut a bunch of that out and put a window for the applicants or the public to come there. So we kind of did a walkthrough 2 weeks ago and made a list, and you know, we need to be starting to get some prices out, but you know, the environmental question
Right.
kind of holding us up there right now.
So we also, and Sean, I think we also need to tap in to see again what kind of grants. I know municipalities sometimes are at the bottom of those grant lists as far as renovations, but even as far as windows and efficiency Vermont and lighting, we need to check into that, but yeah. That's where we're at.
That's another thing we're gonna put up in front of the public at some point. Once we get moved into the armory, we still have the huge floor. You know, what are we gonna? What's the plans gonna be here? We're allowing junior ROTC still use that to practice and stuff. And so we floated a few ideas. It's a possible place where we can have our town meetings going down the road. The rec department can utilize it, put some tables in there if they want some meals or different little things. And I've been down in the Pearly Complex last 2 times to get my shots there, and I kind of look at the layout that they have there. You know, there's a couple baskets that they put up in the air, and they got like a rubber matting floor in there. And it's like, well, you know, there might be something to open up some like for elementary school kids, they practice and play in a small tiny kitchen area basically in the winter months. And you know, there's maybe some space for that going down the road, but definitely we want suggestions from the public, and we'll come to a point because if we're gonna do things like that, it's not, we can't do it yet because there's the concrete has grooves, open grooves through the floor and stuff, so there'd have to be, you know, something put on the floor for safety and stuff.
But I think it's safe to say that the for sure thing is that the town clerk's office.
Yeah.
And the positions that go with that, economic developer, zoning administrator, lister, are for sure, and the community center is a for sure that will be going into that. Okay, and if there's anything else, we'll move on. Okay. So next it says executive session, bridge 50 on where premature general public knowledge would clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage.
So I think both boards are gonna have to move to go to executive.
Okay, both, okay.
So anybody on our board? Motion?
I'll make a motion, go in executive session, to talk about Bridge 50.
Second. Phil Altoy made the motion, Dean Wright seconded the motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. It's 7:32, and we're going to executive.
All right, I need a motion from my board.
I'll make the motion.
Heather with the first, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Leonard with the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right, that over.
There is no action as a result of executive session. And Next, we have,
I move that we,
no action as per executive session.
Right.
Okay, next we have Yvonne. Oh, she did, okay.
Yeah, so, she was part of the joint.
No, she was gonna be after that.
She was
Okay.
after.
So we're still, yeah, we're still on as, with the joint meeting with the village.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that was the last point of discussion that I had on the agenda. I don't know if there's any further points that need to be brought up.
So if there's nothing else, you guys can adjourn the joint meeting. I don't know if the select board has additional items under your regular meeting. But I think that's it for the joint meeting, so you can adjourn the joint meeting.
So I'll move to adjourn the joint meeting and continue on with regular board.
Seconded.
Rico made the motion. Bill Rockaway seconded the motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion's been passed. Well, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, so there was that cancellation for 8:30.
Yeah.
And Joey has a couple driveway permits that need signatures.
Yeah, and probably actually just one. I still gotta work and go visit the people again. This is one from Brad Sylvester. Property from Dan Oakland on Curly Road. And his plan is to put this access in, and it'll be for his home, shop, and also for part of his, he's gonna have a little sugaring operation going on there as well. So we've come to an agreement on what he needs for a culvert, and he's gonna cut some trees for visibility, and as well as around the power lines that needs to get them removed. And there's already a driveway there now that my nephew has for his sap tanks, and when his lease is up in another year, I guess. So when that's done, Brad's gonna take that entrance out, and he'll have just the one he's putting in the new one he's putting in now this summer. So 18-inch culvert, 40 feet long, is gonna be used for his shop. He's got a plumbing business. So I have some delivery trucks going in there and stuff.
Is it under, he put it under his personal name, because I'm not sure that's the name that it's purchased
Yeah.
under, and I'm not sure if that one.
Yeah, he's got it under his name. Did, yeah, he paid. Must be.
Probably, I'm just saying, I think it's under somebody else's name, so I don't know if your application says owner or.
Is that
applicant.
how Mary, does she initial things or?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so.
No, I think that I'm not in contact.
Okay,
And I don't know if that matters to anyone.
yeah.
Where's the driveway, his new access gonna be in relation to where
Oh,
the sap?
10 feet down the road, like the inlet and end of his culvert is probably gonna be 6 to 10 feet down the hill from where Matthew's driveway is now. Cause he kind of wants to go straight into his shop, so he said that once Matthew's done there, another year or two, another year, I guess, Matthew's got one more spring, when that's done, those tanks are, I don't know if they're gonna go with Matthew or whatever, but that building's not gonna be there, that's gonna be up to his shop, up further in the field, up to his shop. And then he's gonna, I guess, pump it down to his father-in-law, so whoever buys it will be picking it up the bottom of the hills. So he won't need the driveway that's there now. So for a little while, there'll be two driveways like right tight to each other. So again, if you want to sign this first page or second page after the application, that's their notice to proceed. After that, I wouldn't sign this one until conditions are all met. This way, yeah, you can read the whole thing. This other one, I need to go visit the people on the McGowan Road. And see what they got, what left they've got work to do on the road. That's the trail portion. of-
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, it's kind of familiar.
Yeah,
On the along the bridge side or the,
yeah. Remember last year we were visiting the roads, the people we talked to, yeah. I know they've done some work to it, I don't know, I gotta go see what they've done and how much more they gotta do, please. Yeah, you need to be able to get emergency vehicles up there. So I haven't had a chance to get up there to see them, and they sent this, I had it sent fire, so I guess I better get up there. They're clearing land, I guess, now to get ready to, I don't know what step they're in right now. So anyway, they get all the permits or what.
On the McGowan?
Yeah,
Is that
the one on the trail.
Yeah, I was on the DRB, it's funny you said that, I was just looking through my DRB stuff that I was cleaning out my computer and I saw that permit, and that was back in like 2019.
These people just bought.
Oh,
They
They
got
bought
their
the
knock
knock.
pins after this.
no, that's the one.
Yeah,
NATO?
No,
NATO.
her name's Avery Lee, Charles.
Yeah, because this was it was a not, it was, oh, interesting, okay. Oh, yeah, she's.
So yeah, I'm not really ready with that one yet.
Yeah.
So any update on the spring road travel from Department of Ag, or, and I know they sent
So
something to the,
they sent
Sugar
something to the other Sugar Makers Association,
Yeah.
and that was the last I've heard.
yeah,
It sounded like there were many that contacted.
Yep.
So I don't know if the Sugar Makers Association is gonna come out with some kind of guidance or not, and yeah.
Maybe we can, as a board, send a proposal, like Joey had said,
Yeah.
being able to use flotation tires as part of their idea. If we send ideas to them, more out to act on some stuff.
I think there's some talking about failure too, because I know Town of Montgomery wrote Felicia Leffler a letter,
Okay.
and she had brought that to discussion in Montpelier, so I don't know how far that's gone, what their discussions for sure are.
Mhm.
Hey, Joey, on that application right there.
Yeah.
How is it that you got 3 different choices? Agricultural, commercial, residential.
Well, I kind of wrote it in there because it's really kind of all three. I mean, it's just house driveway, his shop driveway for his business, and also that's where the sap's gonna go to probably one end of the shop, and the other will have the tanks or the vacuum pump and stuff in there. I don't know.
Is there separation in the zoning bylaws on something like that?
Not really for driveways. It's just that one application. I don't know about you.
I'm just curious.
well, it's good that he's only doing the one driveway, not trying to make it 3 separate entrances.
Right, but it's just,
I wrote that in there because there's 4 purposes, you know, it's not just the residential.
or you would think that one would supersede the other. So I'm just curious.
But I don't think the guidelines for commercial driveway are any different than the residential as far as in the zoning.
For fires, it says that there needs, in the zoning bylaws, there has to be emergency services. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
he's asking if there's a difference between the size or the regulations between private and commercial, like a home versus a commercial
So
driveway.
there is something in there that states if it accesses certain number of homes, that there has to be an emergency services turnaround.
Right, but this isn't a road, this is just a driveway.
But maybe it
So-
qualifies if there's a certain number of buildings
Right.
versus homes.
Because you're mixing residential with
Right.
commercial and agriculture.
Right, that's why it should be superseding the bigger instead of the lesser. I look at agricultural as being the lesser. The bigger is commercial.
The bigger is the number of people that need to be accessed.
Well, I think you're confusing a driveway with what maybe should be a private road.
So,
So once there's two
well, once
people
there's
on-
more people, it turns into a right of way for other people.
Right, once there's two
Yeah.
people, then it's actually, it should be considered a private road, and then there should be, but I don't think it ever was
It's not
adopted.
in there, it's not in those, no, but it does, so when it says a right of way, access is more than, it's a number of homes, there has to be, it has to be 50 feet, has to have access, turnaround for emergency services.
Signed,
I don't remember the signs, but it might. say
I think
signs.
so.
But, yeah, if the access is more than one house, it becomes a right of way.
But in this case, it's
But in
one,
this case, it doesn't turn into a private.
commercial is really no different, other than.
Yeah, there's nothing that stipulates commercial.
I'm just asking.
Sorry, I was spacing.
Anything else?
I think that's it. I'm just gonna ask you about your tires, but you answered that.
Yeah. Tired of tires. I told my wife, coming through Montpelier yesterday, we were seeing all the green bags on the edge of the road, and we went by one place and there was a ton of tires there. I go, Joey's gonna be calling me.
I've been seeing tires. all
It's
over.
amazing how many people lose their tires
Oh
along
my
the edge of the
God.
road.
Yeah.
In threes.
We're not done yet. We have to go back. We missed one.
So this one, Billy Joe, you're all, you got your, are all set
For the
payment
interview.
on that one, that's the one on the gal.
Conducted last week. We didn't
I
finish up
don't
on.
know. Joe, off the top of my head.
You saw it, you recognize it, or there is something on there?
If you saw it, would you recognize it?
Oh, yeah, there's some writing in the corner there. Must be Mary.
Oh, we got
Phelps.
minutes too.
Yep, that's Mary's.
So you got,
So they,
okay.
Right, Thomas. We're down with Joy.
Yep.
Need to approve the April 19th minutes.
I was not here, so I can't speak for them.
No.
Probably on Andrew Dunsmore, just escaped ambulance.
Thanks, Joy.
Just make it specific, ambulance director.
See you later.
Bye, Joey.
okay.
You know, you want to fine tune the joint meeting info. That it was for May 3rd.
No, I shook my head. I didn't know you.
I'll move. Oh, yeah, what time do we get done?
I didn't put that. I just
Okay.
put adjourn.
It's recorded.
Exactly.
So Pierre Letourneau, and motion to accept the minutes with the slight change, just add ambulance director after Andrew Dunsmore's name. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dean Wright makes a second. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Unanimous ayes, the minutes have been approved. So the last thing, we bypassed it, I didn't realize it, we had an interview meeting last week with the personnel. We need to finish on an executive.
I'll move that we go into executive session for personnel discussion.
Should we, it's for zone administrator position. So Dean Wright made the motion, Pierre Letourneau seconded the motion. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. And the ayes have it, and we are going executive approximately 18.
So I make a motion to, as per executive session, to offer the ZA position pending his acceptance of.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made, seconded to accept the new zone administration job pending their acceptance. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous ayes. Motion's been passed. And unless there's any warrants or anything, that's all I have on the agenda.
Okay, so.
I move
To adjourn,
to adjourn.
second,
Get a turn and motion to adjourn. Polly Rico second that motion. Any more discussion? Having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Have a good evening, everyone. Hope this is approved.